I'm Donald Edwards. I'm a freelance drummer living in New York City, 20 years roughly as a professional.
At the drums tonight is Donald Edwards.
Most of that period I've been playing Sabian cymbals. Sabian for me crosses over well into everything that I do. One reason I like to play Sabian cymbals is that it crosses over very well sonically for me. I was a jazz drummer mostly at first. I started getting a lot of gigs as a jazz drummer, and I was always looking for that dark tone and that warm sound. And I get that with Sabian, but there's also a lot of cases where I need something that's a little bright, that cuts a little well, something that you can, when the band is really hot and hitting, that cymbal, you need that ride cymbal that still cuts. A lot of times when the cymbals are too warm, for me, it gets lost. When I play Sabian cymbals, I feel like the cymbals are never lost. It has a little bright edge to it, but I still have that warm tone quality and that authentic jazz sound that I'm looking for. Sabian has given me a line of cymbals that helps me reach what I'm looking for musically and sonically. I like to use one set of cymbals, and I like to use them for everything. And for me, Sabian gives me that, gives me that opportunity. And I can take those same cymbals and go do a rock gig or a funk gig. And I feel like the authenticity of what I'm doing is, it's great with those cymbals. Just one set of cymbals, my main setup, and I just like using that for everything I do. The tone is great. They have a great line. They're coming out with new stuff all the time. And for me, my ears really hear those cymbals. So that's why I play Sabian cymbals. And I think you should check them out. Ludwig was my first drum my very first drum. I had a Ludwig. So, I'm kind of like, a Ludwig person, deep down, and, because it was my first drum. And even then, even that same drum sounds good. I can still use that first drum I had, when I was a kid in grade school, and it still sounds good. And Ludwig still sells that drum. They have very good designs. I like the sound of the drums. When I play their equipment and when I see their equipment and when I look at the things they're doing now, it seems like they really know what they're doing. And I can use those drums for everything. Everything that I do, all the calls that I get to do, I feel like I can use Ludwig drums and I can cover it with no problem. For me, the sound of the drum, it affects the way I play and what I hear. Because I associate that sound with a particular type of music. And I don't feel like I'm playing a drum set that limits me. I feel like I can go back to the 60s, 70s, 80s. I feel like I can cover a lot of ground with these drums. I feel really free playing Ludwig drums. The bottom line is, it's the drums. It's the drummer and it's the drums. And, I want this to be an extension of what I hear. Playing Ludwig drums on this session in particular is kind of an example of what I'm talking about. I can do something really tight and funky. I can do something really beautiful and creative and and impressionistic, and I can do all that kind of stuff with these drums, and I don't feel limited. And the tone is very warm. I can kind of change the tone if I want. It's a very wide scope of what I can do with the drums and what I can, how I can tune them. Man, it was just a blast to play the drums in that session, Ludwig got some drums over to me, and I'm thank you for that. And they worked out very well, and I'm happy with the way the sound came out. You check it out for yourself.